Every artist has OCs, which, if you don't know, stands for original character. I myself have 29 characters that I've completely forgotten about and have just completely ditched. Either drew them one time, called them OCs, and never touched them again, never gave them stories, or as I think most beginner artists have done, just copied off of OCs that others have done. But it's the year 2026, out with the old, in with the new. Let's see which random OC I will be redesigning of mine. This is a list of all my old OCs. There's currently 28 now. In the last video we did number 17. Now let's see which character I get. 23. This OC was made 3 years ago. It says here his name is Alexander. He was definitely just a one-use OC. I don't know what I was doing. I think I found a color palette that I liked and wanted to make an OC based off of the color palette, but it's not really the best. He just looks like every other OC I've made. So let's give him a new life, a new brand, and make him cooler. I did end up making a mood board for him on Pinterest just to get a better idea to make it easier for drawing. He does look he looks a lot different, okay? But I then had an entire story planned out in my head, okay? He's a jock, and since Jack, the other guy in the last video, is like really gross and nerdy, he has a crush on him. But I'll explain more of the story farther ahead because the other characters that I pulled for the random on the wheel randomizer will play into the story, so it'll all be perfect. For this drawing, I did do it in my sketchbook at first, but that's just because I was so excited to start doing it that I did it at school, which I probably shouldn't have because the class that I did it in, I don't have the best grade in, but I did it anyways, no going back now. I have decided that the characters for this are going to be in college, so he's 19 years old. I don't want him to be too old, I don't know, because I don't really like drawing really old people. But he does play football, college football. He's a major jock, but he looks and acts all serious, but he really is just a dork deep down inside his heart. He has a massive crush on Jack, which I already said. He somehow finds that crusty man attractive, but I think it's seeing how carefree Jack is probably made him jealous at first, but then he fell in love because I think maybe Alexander, his entire family, or male people in his family, became football players or something at this of sports and became really good at it, and that was basically their main thing. It's kind of giving that one Cinderella story where he wants to be something else, but his father makes him do football and auto mechanic stuff. I don't know. The drawing is a little bit lopsided, but I think that's really just because, number one, I did it in class, but number two, when I took the picture of it to then import into Ibis Paint X, it wasn't the best angle for the picture, so it could have been better. I did struggle a lot because then, as you can see, I tried to trace over it then, but it honestly looked like absolute caca. So then you see me going through an entire tiring process, and don't you dare tell me that there's an easier way to do that because I don't want to hear it after doing all that, okay? I still kind of wanted to keep with the same color scheme as the original character, so he does still have blondish hair and brighter clothing. He definitely would wear brighter clothing. I drew a little chibi version of him to show what outfits he would wear, and it's a lobster shirt. He's not super jock to the point where he's always wearing those thingy bobbies, those jackets that sometimes they wear. Yeah. And for him, I'm trying hard not to make him a Mary Sue, but he is canonically attractive in the universe, okay? He is pretty attractive. I think maybe even as a little kid, his mom would probably force him to do modeling stuff, while his dad, of course, then forced him to do football stuff. But then over time, he started actually really like being in football, so it's not that big of a thing for him. And I still do want to keep the name Alexander. I don't think I'm going to be changing any of the names of the OCs I'm going to be redesigning, just because, number one, I'm too lazy, and number two, if they're Okay, if they're really bad names and they do not fit the character at all anymore, then I'll probably change them. But I feel Alexander kind of fits with them because it's kind of a classy name, but then still, I guess, a manly name. I don't know. I feel like I could have done a couple of things better and maybe even drawn a full body for him for this, but I'm too lazy, and this is all that I'm going to do for now. So this is Alexander. This OC again was made 3 years ago. Originally, actually, the character, the small little white character on top of the character that we're doing's head, is what started off as the character, if that makes sense. First designed that, which really wasn't original at all, so I won't call it an OC. But they made a human version for that, which is what happened with another one of my OCs, but one of my main OCs, Cole. This character's name was Cece, but I did change it to Teresa to fit the character a lot better now. Cece is one of the OCs that I actually did draw multiple times. It wasn't They weren't a character that had any lore or anything special about him. It's just a character that was simple to draw and that I enjoyed drawing and that I would draw over and over and over again in certain drawing them doing different things. So let's get into how I have changed the character and what's new and what's different, I guess. Yeah. The one major thing that I changed about CC is that they went from being non-binary to female. Our name is now Teresa, like I already said. And the reason why I did that is because CC in the beginning, they already kind of looked more feminine in a way with the slightly longer hair and just, I don't know, how I drew their outfits, which wasn't a lot of outfits, but was still pretty feminine. And for the story, for Jack, Alexander, and Teresa, it's going to be kind of a love triangle. So Teresa, like I've already mentioned, is Arrow Ace. But Jack is, kind of a loser kid, and Teresa sees that. So she invites him to join one of the clubs. She's in many clubs, okay? She's the type of person where she's the extrovert. She brings the friend group together. And as soon as he meets her, as soon as Jack meets her, he kind of falls in love. But I think more in the end, he's just so amazed that she actually wants to be friends with him, and he mistakes that feeling for love. Teresa, being the extrovert friend that makes the friend group, of course then introduces Alexander and Jack together. And that's when Alexander at first is just a little weirded out by Jack, but then over time realizes that Jack isn't just a crusty looking guy. There's more to him than just being crusty. And Alexander slowly falls in love. But that's where the triangle comes in. Teresa's Arrow Ace. Jack likes Teresa, but then Alexander likes Teresa. It's kind of giving Alien stage with Ivan, Till, and that one girl. I'm sorry, I've never done anything with Alien stage, but that's kind of the vibes I want for that, except that Teresa is a lesbian. She's Arrow Ace. Just like Alexander, Teresa is canonically more of an attractive character. But that's just because, she's kind of, I would say, hyper feminine. So, of course, she does her makeup every day. She wants to make sure that she looks good for college, even though everyone else around her is dying inside because college, I think, is kind of stressful. Can you tell I'm not in college? She's kind of popular in the college, but not because, oh, she's the prettiest girl, or oh, she's the richest girl. It's because she's genuinely a nice person. She's, again, a major extrovert. And she just kind of brings everyone together. She reminds you that, you know what? College is college, but we still need to be all friends. And how you look and how you, identify yourself doesn't mean that you can't be friends with other people, I guess. Which I think would be the main part of the story. If this was like a story, I think that would be the main thing, is that you can be friends with anybody, I guess. Though if it was, hypothetically, if it was a story that I actually did, which I definitely will not do, I might do a couple of illustrations of them together, but nothing more than that. But it would definitely be a slow burn, oh my god, a slow burn love story between Alexander and Jack. Though I think it would take a very, very long time for them to actually get together because Alexander, Jack in the beginning is super straight. He's one of those guys that goes like, I'm super straight. But really, he's got that little gay in him, okay? He's probably got the tism too, I don't know. Though over time, Jack hanging out with Alexander and Teresa, he does become less and less crusty. But most of that crustiness is sort of part of his, just who he is, okay? I don't know. And then maybe Alexander over time, then he becomes maybe not like slightly crusty, but he becomes more laid back with all his football stuff and realizes that he doesn't have to pursue his father's dreams. He can be, I don't know, just a little gay boy with his boyfriend Jack. One thing though, if Jack and Alexander did get together, or if Alexander confessed his love to Jack at some point, Jack at first would be in extreme denial and probably stop being friends with Alexander for a while, just because he probably grew up around a really shitty family, so he doesn't really know anything about romance in general, and then he probably before this didn't know anything about the LGBTQ community. They would, Alexander and Jack would stop talking for a couple of months, though Alexander would still try and reach out through Teresa and go like, hey, is Jack still alive? But then Jack would, talking to Teresa, because Teresa would definitely be the therapist friend, would slowly realize that, yeah, I do like Alexander back, and then they would get into their relationship. And I think by then, probably they would be done with college, maybe? Don't know. I don't know if I said this before, but Teresa's age is 21, Alexander's age is 19, and Jack is probably between 20, he's probably 20 years old, just to be in the middle of them. I don't know. I just realized that I'm kind of making this just a big fat circle. I'm redesigning OCs that I haven't touched in a while. Just gave them stories, drew them once, and then never did anything with them again. And I'm just basically doing that again, but making it slightly better. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. But here is Teresa in all her glory. We love her. She's an arrow waist queen, slay baddie girl. Sorry for such a gloomy background, but I'm at my dad's house right now. But I was originally going to be making then a third character, but then I thought that was a little too much, because in order to get the video out on the time that I wanted to, I would not be able to do that. And also because I like the story of the 3 OCs so far. If you haven't watched the video with Jack, watch it. It's only 2 minutes long, so actually, the reason why it's only 2 minutes long is because at first I was trying to make it into a short, but then it wouldn't let me do that. So then it just became a video, and that's why it's so short. But the next video I'm going to be posting is a sketchbook tour, because I did finish my 16th sketchbook, and yes, I'm on my bed. I hope you have a great day, princess, or prince, or whatever you want to be, a cow, a moose, a flute, a clarinet, I don't know. Have a great day. Have a great day.